Yeah, we're on.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, brother, what's up?
We're live, Charles.
Yes, we are. Beautiful. What? Aloha Saturday, aloha Friday. What day is it?
Hang on here. What's going on? What's going on? All right, we are live. Okie dokie. Let me make sure I get my
Facebook up.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to a Facebook Live. It is Saturday, July 11th. Damn, time
Yeah.
is flying by, boy.
Yep.
And
Aloha no.
boom. Damn, half the year gone. We're into the second half of the year. Unbelievable. How's your day going, bro?
What?
How's your day going? Good?
Yeah, day went by really good. Woke up early. Went to go buy some breakfast for the wife. Was nice. It was just hot, little muggy. I guess all parts of the island had different kind of weather today, from what I understand.
It was pouring this morning. Went to Lawai, went to go deliver some shields in Koloa, and it was pouring rain. And then came back home. It was nice and hot. Got to work in my garden a little bit. See my little baby bell peppers coming out. That is so cute. My all flowering and perfect, man. Getting ready for my first harvest. Besides my lettuce, which we had enjoyed for quite a while. Max Holloway lost his fight today, man, just a few minutes ago. Son of a gun. It was an awesome fight. Awesome fight. 5 rounds and got a split decision. He did well. He did well. But the champion, he lost to the champion. I mean, he put up a good fight. Unbelievable. But anyway, so tonight it's Charlie and I trying to kind of do a recap. Talk about what's been going on. Again, the country's Daniel says he didn't lose. Yeah, man, I thought he was going to win that one, but the last round, I think he looked like he was tired, but he was punching and too many takedowns. The takedowns is points, it's based on points, and the guy was able to take him down a couple of times. So anyway, yeah, records keep climbing in the country. Hawaii again, 42 more cases today, and still waiting on word on what we're going to do about the travel quarantine. So
Well,
that's going to be something.
It's going to be something. It's I think a lot of places have kind of getting the responses from last night's show with Miniko. I think a lot of people for the first time got to hear, what's available, what attempts have been made to help the state, and folks, we try to find the answers, and sometimes, I learned one thing early on in my police career, and that is you never fudge your numbers, because you'll never be able to testify in court again. Your training, you let it go where it takes you. And you and I both know we've been digging as hard as we could, and just short of holding somebody over one cliff or get one answer, which we will never do. It's tough. We've asked all the right questions, I think, and it's just tough. It's just tough.
Yeah, it all goes back again to what we've been saying from day one. About protecting yourselves. Remember in the beginning, we kept harping on that, harping on the social distancing and the making sure you wash your hands, don't touch your face. Now it's wear your mask. The mask is so important, and you see, I know a lot of you guys out there, a lot of people on Kauai, a lot of people throughout the state, are going about their business as if it's not that serious, and it is. And I think, people got to understand that now is not the time to be congregating in big groups, the parties and all of that. I mean, we got to hold off. We gotta kind of take a step back to where we were and what got us to the low numbers. That's what when we had all the restrictions in place, as bad as it was and as difficult as it was, it kept our numbers down. When the gyms were closed, when the bars were closed, and now we know, right? There is a direct correlation, right? When you open up the gyms, when you open up the bars, that's what's going to happen. So I if this thing doesn't stop, I gotta believe the governor is gonna start looking at, or maybe the mayors are gonna start looking at shutting down the gyms because it's not working. This virus is so contagious that even casual contact now, in a gym, not staying the proper distance away, not wearing a mask, because when you exercise, you don't wear a mask, and everybody's in there exerting themselves, talking loud. When you're doing the key eyeing and all that particles are coming out of your mouth, and all that stuff drifts around, and somebody breathes it in, and then bingo, you're positive. So it's bound to happen. People, you guys got to understand, if we don't take care of it ourselves, if we as individuals don't practice the social distancing, wear your masks, if you don't do that, then numbers are going to climb and things are going to be taken away. That's just how it is. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people listen and follow the rules, but there's still more and more every day. I see it. I see pictures on Facebook. A lot of people are getting complacent, and now is not the time. Now is not the time.
Well, today I had some good news. I checked my messenger today, and lo and behold, I got a message from Tanya Nua. That's Gawalofa's wife. Alofa Nua. He was a gentleman that was admitted to Queens on March 26th, and he was discharged on May 14th. Yeah, and he spent almost 7 weeks in ICU. She sent a message that he's doing good. I was trying to get him to come on tonight. She said, please, he just went in for a checkup. And from what she indicated, his lungs are very badly scarred. And we kind of figured that, we talked about it before, the lasting effects after your recovery, right? What effects you're going to get. And that poor guy, he's struggling, but, he's a fighter. But he said the wife told me today, just give him maybe a week or two, because today he had some days he had these bad coughing bouts, and one of those days were today. So maybe about a week we can get him on if he feels up to it. And I said, just as long he feels up to it, then ladies and gentlemen watching this right now, you folks are going to get firsthand knowledge of what it's like going through COVID, fighting it. And this guy was a big, scrappy guy. He had no underlying medical condition. And you will hear from his own mouth if we're fortunate enough to have him. Because like I said, he's still battling the after effects. There's a lot of scarring in his lungs, the scar tissue. They saw it in his lungs. That's tough. But if everything works out, we'll get him on, and we'll have you listen firsthand. And maybe if there's some non-believers out there that you know of, have them watch that show when we're ready to bring him on. And let's see if those non-believers can get convinced that this thing ain't a hoax. It's not a hoax. So.
Well, and if you go by what's on the paper, right? What on the State Department of Health report, he's counted as a recovered.
Yep.
He's counted as a recovered. When you hear that fancy numbers, hey, 90%, whatever, 80% of them have recovered. That's one of the recovereds. His quality of life is been decreased, and it's not. This is probably for the rest of his life, to some level. He'll get better, but he'll never be where he was before. So that whole recovered crap, I just upsets me when people keep. When we post a number, we post the Department of Health numbers, and everybody starts saying, "Hey, why don't talk about the recovers?" Because the recovers is that guy. There's a lot of people that are listed as recovered that are struggling right now. And I think that's what, when you look at the numbers at face value, it doesn't look like this is such a serious disease. But when you get, I posted on Facebook, how many of you know someone that died with COVID or tested positive And if you haven't seen that post, go to my page and go take a look and look at the stories from these people. Yeah, maybe not all of them know someone that died, but read the stories of those that know someone that tested positive and how sick they got. And thank God they recovered, but they're still suffering from medical issues going forward. So again, it's not. I don't like when they use that even removed from isolation. They count the dead. The state counts the dead. Removed from isolation, that's where the dead gets counted. So it's the numbers. You can cook the books however you want to make your case. At the end of the day, this is a real problem, a real virus, a dangerous virus. Randy, you're right. I read that Texas now has to get refrigerated trucks for their dead people. Charlie knows that firsthand. When his brother passed away, New York was using refrigerated containers, right, Charlie?
Yep.
And
You know what?
I corpses in the refrigerated containers. So you want to think this is not that serious? That's up to you. You're entitled to your opinion.
You know what I'm battling with psychologically. I was told that when my brother was admitted on Monday night, his girlfriend told me that he said, Charlie, he had this look on his face like he was scared, like he's not coming home. So when I look at his picture, I can only picture what that fear looked like. And it's been bothering me all this time since the time he passed away. Oh, man.
That's rough. Rough. I know Brian just posted that he knows someone. He even named the guy. And he says, I'm going to read this. He says, first they cut off his leg due to COVID clotting. Then he drowned in his own secretions when he had a cytokine flood. And I'm reading now more and more reports or cases where people have had amputations to try to stop this virus from the clotting, and it's just a horrific disease. And
you remember one of the earlier cases we had? No, I received this information from someone who knew someone that had COVID. One of the first cases, and I don't know if it was on Kauai or Oahu. That person recovered, but that person now has had 2 strokes, very young, one of the young ones, because of the clotting situation. And now there's report that those who've recovered have actually had loss of memory. That is, whew, that's tough. That's tough.
yeah. So anyway, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green will be coming on as soon as the governor releases his message as far as the quarantine. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green texted me today and said he'll come on as soon as once the governor makes his announcements. We don't know when that will be. I'm expecting it to be on Monday. Not sure why he's waiting. I also expect, and again, I got no indication from the Lieutenant Governor when it will be, but I'm just going to speculate that it's going to be September 1st. The problem with setting a date versus a benchmark, again, you're gonna raise people's hopes again. You're gonna get the visitor industry to ramp up for the new opening. As one of the representatives from the hotel industry was on the news last night, says it costs a lot of money to get the hotel ready to open. And they're ramping up for an August 1st opening, and that's not going to happen. So why set a date when you know with the rising numbers on the mainland, I mean, it's going out of control. Our numbers haven't leveled off. Why would you set a date? Why not just set a benchmark such as after 14 or 21 days without a new active case or something like that? So we know it's not a date specific, and then you try to make the date work. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to soften the reports. We're focusing on the availability of medical resources, the availability of beds and ventilators, So even though our numbers are rising, it's okay because we have a lot of resources because we know we're going to use them. No, that's ass backwards, right? No, you're not going to set the date. We'll set a benchmark, and as we reach those benchmarks, we start to open up. See, it's confusing because when the numbers were low, we had more restrictions than when the numbers are rising. That makes no sense. It's not logical. So it's very hard for us in the community, in the public, to understand the strategy because it makes no sense. So you set a date like that when you know for a fact that things are going out of control. That's just it's not realistic. And I think that's the concern many of us have.
Well, I said it before, and I'll say it again, and you hit the nail on the head. We shouldn't even be talking about dates. We should be taking what available means we have, work the program, make sure the program is sound, and then target a date from there. Because what they're doing is trying to put a round peg in one square hole, or vice versa. It's not going to work. You cannot do it that way. And everyone we've talked to said the same thing. Because that's why when you test something like a vaccine, for instance, you run trials, right? You don't make the announcement of vaccine coming out. You run the trials so you get a lot of successes with the vaccine. Then you can confidently say, we're ready to release the opening, right? That the vaccine is available. You don't do it the other way around, because all you're going to do is you're going to push out some duds. People are going to have false hopes. There's, okay, I got vaccinated, and guess what? They get nailed by the virus. No, you don't do it that way. You run your programs, and you make sure that it's always. And you were in the military, Mel. You know that when you start an operation, you check in at all angles, make sure that everybody that's part of that operation is ready to pull, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're going to just go in and say, hey, we forgot somebody behind. What we doing now? Oh, jam up. No, we cannot be doing things that way. But today I'm encouraged. I got some good feedback. So for those who know, I sent out that email today. Okay. For those who asked me about the email. So if you know, then you know. And the email was sent out. And it was not sent out to the address that some of you posted. It was sent out to another email address. Okay? So I just want to let you folks know that. Remember now, if you know, then you know.
And if you don't know,
yeah,
Charlie sent an email to Dr. Bruce Anderson, questioning Dr. Bruce Anderson about what we had learned last night from Minnie Cole, and I'm waiting for the response. It was a very long email.
No, but I think
very well done. It was very well done, Charlie. I could hardly tell that you was upset.
Well, like anything else, because we're that way too. If somebody sent us something out of anger, would you respond? Probably not. And I had to sit in that seat and said, if I respond with anger, would he respond to me? Probably not. So I just want to go with the facts and just, humbly ask him. And I'll tell you folks the reason why I feel this way. If we have nothing to lose at this point, we're better off trying something than not trying nothing at all. And what we're talking about trying is we're not putting anybody at risk. Because we're talking about, try one test kit. If you feel the test kits has not been vetted, you have some people that are sick right now. Get one test kit or get one swab from them because they're positive. In 2 hours, if the test come back positive, that's one test kit that work, right? You run maybe 10 test kits. If you get 9 of 10, that means you're running at 90% already accuracy, right? And you do one more, but you just do it and you run it and you go to a known subject who is either hospitalized right now. You go to a known subject and you test them with this kit from Korea. What is it going to do? Take 20 kits, but each kit, what? $49, $50, right? Supposedly from Korea.
$20.
$20, okay.
$20.
I will pay for the kids. You know, I'll buy $200 worth of kits. Just use it so you in your mind can see for yourself, hey, the damn thing work or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, fine, we clear the air. But nothing gonna happen after that. So we don't need worry. But that's at least trying something will get us someplace. That's one. Two, the app is free for tracking. Try it on one small population base. You want to do it on Lanai? Try them on Lanai, see if it works, right? Population small. If the thing can track the people on Lanai and it works good, hey. Because what does that feature do? The QNR, swipe. You went into a Korean restaurant, boom, an alert comes out. There was an infection reported in a restaurant. You may have been infected. Bingo, it lets you know. It doesn't tell you who the person is, right? It doesn't tell you any private information. It just tells you that you may have been in the immediate proximity of the person who tested positive. How great is that? Just try it. And it's free on top of that.
I am going to try to pull up, hang on real quick. I'm going to pull up the, PowerPoint on this tracking software. Because I think a lot of people were concerned about Big Brother watching and all of this crazy things about, you know, they're going to take your information but I'm going to show you this because this here is the presentation that was made to the state, and it's called ID1. And basically, I'm just going to get to the part. This is how it works. The user downloads the app, you create your ID, you verify your phone number, and you create a PIN. That completes your registration. Now you go to the site, whatever site, the site, so the restaurant, the bar, they register their site with the authority, which would be the state. They receive a QR code, which is going to be posted at the entrance of that restaurant, the bar, the whatever.
It's only good for that location. Everyone will have a different code. Yeah.
And then they'll put that up in the front, in the entry door. You'll have that QR code. Now the user will go to, and let's just say it's Mel's Diner. He goes to Mel's Diner. At the entrance, there's my QR code that's specific to me. Charlie will come to eat his favorite waffles and pancakes. He scans the QR code. The information system verifies the user. Charlie will receive the verification on the app, and that message gets sent to the site manager. Now, this is what's important. The government and local authority can access the information as far as the user, all the information is registered with the state. The bottom line where I wanted to get to, it does not track your personal information. You don't need to reveal the personal information. What happens is if there is an outbreak at that site, your phone number, that's all in Korean, obviously. The phone number that you logged in with that's attached to that phone will be reported to the state, so the state can help contact trace everybody that was in the facility at that time. So simple. And that's all they get. They get your phone number, but they got to verify your identification, and they got to verify the sites, the restaurant, the bar's information, and that's all it is. So once you scan that QR code, if next week, Wednesday, one of the employees or one of the customers gets sick and it gets tracked to Mel's Diner, Mel's Diner reports it to the state gets a list of all of the phone numbers of the people that went and scanned that QR code. That's it. That's done. Your contact tracing, your list is there. Your contact tracers now calls those people and asks them or lets them know that they were in a facility or a restaurant that was that had a positive case in there, and then they do the contact tracing based on that. That's a no-brainer. And the best part, it's free. Designed by someone in Hawaii, and we say no. So anyway, I cannot wait for the lieutenant governor to come on. I want to ask him. I hope that Bruce Anderson will respond to Charlie's email and agree to come on our show.
Yep.
So simple, so simple.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Anyway.
Well,
go ahead.
I just wanted to, I guess, somebody called me out using lanai. When I used that example, it was just an example. It can be any place. It can be of Haleakala, for all I care. What I'm saying is, if you're going to use the app, you work it in a small population base first, and you try it that way. If you're still skeptical about using that type of technology, okay, you run it that way for a little while and see how it works. But you need to run it someplace, whether on Kauai, whether on the Big Island. But if you're going to take it to Kauai, you're not going to load up the whole island. You try it on one section first and see how well. Number one, you want to see how well it's received, right? Because you get somebody coming to Mel's Diner. What the first thing you go do? You force the guy to scan a QR code? No, you gotta make sure the person buys into the program. That's how the program is gonna succeed. That everybody uses the program. I would think you would want to scan just to be on a safe side, right? There's some going to think, hey, there goes Big Brother again, invading my privacy. Then you know what? If you're an infection at Mel's Diner and you opted to stay out of it, then sorry, you're not going to get notified. It's up to you. What we're saying is we need some way of getting the information out that an infection has occurred and you may have been in that area. Because why? You swiped in on a QR code and it says you was at that location. That's all it's saying. It's not telling you that. It's not telling you bought 2 loco mocos and 1 prime rib. It's not saying nothing like that.
And if it's Mel's Diner, my diner, you ain't coming in unless you scan the code. So it's that simple. Yeah. I have the right to refuse service to everyone. If you don't want to be part of it, then don't. You go eat somewhere else. I'm sorry. We're not. This is a pandemic. Yeah, this is a real life, real world crisis that people are dying, and now is not the time to be. If Mel's Diner, you don't want to scan, then you know what? Go. The idea is everybody needs to be in this. I mean, all of the restaurants, all of the establishments, the state needs to mandate it. The state needs to mandate that every establishment, I don't care if it's Ross's, Safeway, I don't care. Everybody needs to have a QR code. And if you don't want to participate, then you don't get to go in the store or the establishment. You want to go file a civil suit, go right ahead. I mean, that's the attitude the state needs to take. It's not about hurting people's feelings or violating anybody's civil rights. You know what? You can order takeout. There's a lot of food delivery services that'll go and pick up food from Costco and bring it to your house. So you don't have to go in. That's just, if you want to crack this thing, if you want to beat this virus, it's going to take some drastic measures. And if you're not into that, then fine, order your food and go pick it up or get it delivered. Your concern for your civil rights should not put others at risk. That's just the way it's got to be. If you want to beat this virus, that's what you're going to have to do. And again, if we had done this across the nation, if we had agreed that we were going to shut everything down until we got rid of the virus and then slowly open up, we wouldn't be having these explosions in Florida and in Texas and in Arizona and in Southern California. I mean, the governor of Florida allowed Disney World to open up. Now, what kind of nutcase of a governor would allow a family park to open when your numbers are breaking records every day? That to me is, if you ask me personally, Charlie, that is to me is reckless or maybe even negligent. If anybody dies from COVID and they can track it back to that park, to Disney World, I think they have a claim against Disney World for opening. Now, I know people will say, no, Mel, it's an individual choice to go in there. So you cannot put all the blame on Disney World. Well, I do put the blame on Disney World because they have no business opening up when their state is out of control. And you're enticing people to come in there and they get sick. It's no different than a restaurant, right? If you go in a restaurant and you get sick and you die, you damn right you got a claim against that restaurant. Because I believe the Disney World is being very negligent by allowing people to come in knowing that they're not going to maintain social distance. Anyway, that's just my opinion. You know, the bottom line is this: if you want to beat this virus, then you either go all in or you just stay out. You go all in and you do what needs to be done, or no go in half-assed, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to have these breaches, you're going to have these outbreaks, people are going to die. People are going to die.
But you know, today, I forget the guy's name, that bald-headed guy on MSNBC, Avi Velshi, reporter. He brought on a Dr. Peter Hostes. He's the dean of some type of vaccine research at Baylor University. He's a noted expert. It was very interesting what he said today. And what he said was, the agency that advises on pandemics or anything that's dangerous out there is the CDC, right? But because of the political climate, and what he was referring to is because of the Trump administration, that's what he referred to. Because of the political climate, there have been some tendencies to pull back. So what happens is all these governors did not get the right information regarding opening up. And so a lot of them had to play in the dark and just said, you know what, yeah, I'm going to open up. And he said it right there. His recommendation was don't, because until you can get a handle, because of the numbers, and he says the rate that it's climbing, he says that is scary in and of itself. He called it a super acceleration. He said, you know, and he described it. He went like this, just continually skyrocketing up. It doesn't look like it's going to peak out. So when he made that comment, it was very obvious what he was talking about, and that is he felt that the only way right now is the social distancing, limiting the gathering, and wearing of the mask. He said those three things in the very early on stages, were proven. Now he talked about vaccine. He says there are some accelerated, he used a term I've never heard it before, but it meant like it was being fast-tracked beyond fast-track. And it's already in its third clinical phase trial. So he said if that proves to, then they're gonna go and try to get the this company he mentioned, and it's a race. They're gonna try to get the vaccine registered and get the approval from the USDA or FDA, whoever does that, to give them the fast track, and they're gonna go for it. But it's already in its third phase. So he said it's very, very promising. There's like about 10 different companies all racing, and they're pretty, except with this one company that's already on the third phase. The rest of the companies are all close. They're next to each other. The race to get a vaccine. So his name is Dr. Peter Hostes, Hotez, Hotez.
I think there's a lot of companies that right now are in that race for the vaccine. There's a lot of companies, medical companies that are in a race to get the treatment, you know, and I think, you know, at some point we're going to get there, but until then, and that's why we talk about this is temporary, because once we establish the vaccine or establish the treatment, then obviously we'll have this under control. But if it's like a wildfire, right? You know, you have the water trucks, you have the helicopters, and if you don't get it when it's starting, obviously, you know, the the effort is going to have to be increased. Yeah, now you got to cut fire breaks, and the water is just not enough. And I think that's where we at. We got a crazy wildfire going right now across the country, and a lot of people are trying to mobilize or design helicopters and fire trucks to put this fire out with special chemicals and all of that. But the fire is growing quicker than we can respond, and that's where we at with the COVID. So yeah, I hope and pray that we get the remedies soon. But until then, we gotta do our part. We gotta do our part. And I know, Charlie and I, and many of you, I'm sure, Angela Keene and I have been on conversing back and forth in text and emails today, but we get a lot of information about things that are going on the island, big parties, and quarantine breakers all over the place, or even local residents that are violating the rules. And listen, it's not about snitching. It's not about turning people in. It's about being responsible citizens, that if you know of something that's going on that's creating a risk, you need to let the police know. You need to let the police know, because we cannot afford to have an outbreak with 30, 40, 50 cases on Kauai. And that's what I talk about, personal responsibility. And I know we don't like to rat on people, but when you see that going on, I see some people posting about that right now. If you know or you see, call the police. You're potentially saving somebody's life. That's
what was
a mindset we gotta have.
What was neat today, and I was watching one of the news. They're talking with some of the restaurants that open on Oahu. And what's very neat is some of the restaurant owners have taken upon themselves to kindly ask the patrons that's coming into the restaurant if they would just sign their name and their email address, and if they want to leave a phone number or not. So someone asked, what is this for? He says, because should we ever have an infection reported at our restaurant, we want to be responsible and notify you, just to let you know that we have been tagged with an infection on this date. And then that way you can check your calendar, because we have your name down. You check your calendar if in fact you were here that date, and you can basically do a self-check after that. I thought it was very responsible of the restaurant to even think about doing something like that. That's smart.
I think more people should do that. We have a question here from Kevin. What happens when your business is put out to public that someone has caught corona, and you lose all your customers and you go out of business, and there is no way to pinpoint someone caught the virus in a specific place and time? I think, Kevin, when we talk about informing the public, it's on cases that we know. Your contact tracing has to be up to par. And when we know, when the state confirms that the infection occurred in the business, then it is their duty to notify the public. You see it all the time. I mean, recall of meat, of chicken, Hormel, whatever, what's that chicken farm they sell chickens?
Tyson,
whatever it is,
Right, Purdue. Right.
When they confirm that there is a problem with that product, you better be surprised. You better be. They're gonna go out and tell the world to don't eat that food. They don't go out of business for that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we gotta get a handle of all of the people that could be infected by COVID, so we can keep them quarantined or isolated. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So I understand the concern. And again, I don't think that if I test positive, but you cannot track me back to a restaurant or a business, yeah, by all means. I'm talking about the person that came in contact, a positive person came in contact with customers. Yes, I believe that the state has a duty to inform the public that, in fact, if you were at this restaurant, you should.
Well, I think right now with that new policy that they're gonna, like the way the health department has a placard, the different color placards. And, they're going to send inspectors out. And if they see that social distancing is not practiced in the restaurant, people entering and leaving the restaurant do not have their mask on because they need to be notified by the restaurant. And those kind of violations, those restaurants whose staff, we hear it all the time. Your restaurants on Kauai, staff no wear masks. Well, if they catch you, you get one warning. Next time they give you that red card, you shut down until you come into compliance. Now, I don't know how long that will last. I mean, if it means that they're gonna shut you down for not wearing a mask, put a mask on, I don't think they would open up. But they have the power to do that, and
again, I don't sound like one total jerk, but why? If we're in a global pandemic with a virus that kills, why are we not shutting them down when we see the violation? Why aren't we going? If you're in a bar or a restaurant and your cooks aren't wearing masks, if your servers aren't wearing masks, to me, shut them down. You cannot tell me, oh, I didn't know I had to. No, this is well into this pandemic. I mean, if you want to stop this, you got to take some harsh actions. I mean, if the inspectors are going in and they see a server with no mask talking to a customer, if they go into a restaurant and there's no social distancing, no, you know what? That's it. Everybody, you're out. Leave now. We're shutting this down. Because see, when that happens, that only has to happen a couple of times, and everybody else is going to follow the rules. Again, I gotta tell you, man, I don't want to be a hard ass, but we're not dealing with something minor here. And I wish Texas, I wish Florida, I wish Arizona, I wish all of these states took this seriously, because it wouldn't be in a situation that we are right now. I'm probably gonna lose a lot of friends tonight, but that's just the reality. I mean, that's just the reality.
I wanted to talk about the viral load because, I'm very proud of Kauai. We went another day without, well, somebody said we had a case. Somebody said we didn't have a case. So I don't know what it is. But nevertheless, it's pretty obvious that the cases running wild is on Oahu. And they're not visitors. They're not visitors, nor are they travel related coming into the state. It's a lot of cases that is actually from community spreads. And you remember when we talked about putting the net wide? Because it has the same principle as if we're setting up a drag net to catch a wanted person. You set it wide because you run a better percentage of catching that person that way. If not, if the net is too tight and they get past layer one, it's just that much more. You got to go chase now. You're chasing them, and you don't want to be in a position. I have to say that I give the contact tracers, whoever they may be, I give them kudos for trying. But gang, if you hear me saying this to you, just know one thing: as a contact tracer, this is not an 8-hour-a-day job. You work it until you can't work it anymore, and you go as hard as you can. And I know that sometimes you won't get resistance, but you know what? Rule of thumb is when you start getting resistance from some people, they're probably guilty. They're probably guilty, and they know more than what they're going to tell you. But usually guilty people do that. They have a tendency of doing that. And that's, I mean, you've taken the FBI classes. We all have. A lot of rookies, they make a requirement now. FBI comes in, train them from the get-go during the recruit school. So it's something just to watch out for.
One of the questions is, do we think that, so I'm just trying to adjust the light here. One of the questions is, do we think that the inter-island quarantine should be put back in place? It says, do we think inter-island should be banned? But I think he meant if quarantine should be. This is my answer. I'm going to give it just as basic as I can get. If we want to achieve the results that we achieved once before, then we must do the same thing. If we want to achieve the same results, then we need to do the same thing. In other words, we need to roll back. We need to put the quarantine back on inter-island. Again, hope is not a strategy. hope is not a strategy. So if you want to get the results that we had, then we got to do what we did. If we think we're going to change and we're going to open up and increase the risk and get lower numbers, then we are fooling ourselves. You asked the question, I answered the question. I mean, am I happy with that? Absolutely not. I really want, I enjoy seeing people being able to fly inter-island, but right now we got a hot zone in Honolulu. And again, with the amount of testing that we do in this state, I'm not comfortable that we're catching all the tests, all the positives. There's still a lot of positives unidentified. So no, that's my answer, man. If you want to go back to the flat line zeros and the ones and the twos, then you do what we did back then, which is close the gyms, close the bars, quarantine the inter-island.
Well, you know, another thing too, today they talked about some of the states, because how serious the climb is. Some of the states have actually said anyone traveling to their home state from a known hotspot will have to go on the mandatory 14-day quarantine. They're doing that now. So if you're coming from a state that, and they listed, so they say, check with your traveler, you know, check with the tourism authority of that state. They got the list of all the states that are known hotspots. If you're traveling, say, from California to Minnesota, and Minnesota has a 14-day quarantine, if California is on that list, you will quarantine for 14 days. The other way I look at, you know, this inter-island travel, now more than ever, if you roll back and we do what we do before and we see the numbers drop, flatten out, then we know that in and of itself is the trick to control. So then you can actually use that and tell the people, if you don't want to get to this position, help us help you follow all the protocols. Because if not, if the numbers go back up, we're going to have to do this because we can prove to you that we can flatten the curve by doing this. But that means it's going to cost you an inconvenience where I know you don't want to be. If you don't want to be there, help me help you. I think that's what, and see, all of that again is going to come back from the state. Remember, we talked about the messaging. Do it right. Do it right the first time.
If we didn't have gyms, that cases on Oahu would not have occurred if the gyms were closed. You know, again, you know, how essential is a gym? It's not. It's a high risk, non-essential operation. And again, you know, I have a lot of friends. My son works in a gym. He's a personal trainer. He's a master trainer. And he'd probably slap me if he heard me saying this. But again, the question was, what do we think? You know, the professional side, that if I'm in charge, if I got to make a decision, if I was the governor today, and these numbers started spiking and it's obviously going to increase, and knowing what we know, that's what's happening on the mainland, I would quarantine. I would put back the quarantine. I would shut down the non-essential businesses. I would go back to the requirements for to allow for accurate spacing in establishments. I would mandate the use of a mask unless you have a verified health condition that obviously would put you more at risk if you wore a mask. But that's what I would do. See, I don't have to be politically correct because I ain't running for nothing. But if you're asking me what I think we need to do to bring the numbers back down, that's what we need to do. To think that we're going to lower these numbers by increasing the risk. I'm going to be honest. That's stupid. That's just senseless. It's illogical. So it's called a calculated risk, right? But see, the problem, a calculated risk is if you're going to go jump parachute, like Charlie, you and I are going to do the tandem bungee. I don't know if you saw that video, but yeah, Charlie and I are going to do a tandem bungee jump in the Grand Canyon. Once
you gotta set up how it was said. If that could be on the bucket list, right?
Right, right.
So when I saw that thing, I said, you better get a 55-gallon bucket because I'm gonna be dropping a lot of doo-doo because you jump in off a cliff into clouds and you don't know where the other end is. And be my luck, I'm gonna jump at one angle and guess what happened? Watch out for that tree. George of the Jungle, bang, one time, crack.
But you see, Charlie, that calculated risk affects you and me. We both gonna die. But that's a calculated risk that we take.
Right.
Because you and I are daredevils, and that's something that is on our bucket list. But when your calculated risk affects other people, so when
Yeah.
you decide that you're going to take on a risk, but that chance that you're taking affects other people that doesn't have a say in that calculated risk, it's wrong. It's wrong. You know, we long ago, remember, everyone was saying, hey, we got to be inconvenienced. And then as we start opening things up, you know, this is temporary. And they never told us how long it was going to be. I honestly didn't think it was going to be this long, but it is this because of other people's irresponsible acts or other states and other leaders' failure to do their job. But regardless of what the circumstance, right now we are where we're at, and some decisions got to be made if we want to fix this curve. And I don't see the political will right now. I don't see it in county and state government to go back to where we need to go.
Well, let's talk about some of the key points last night. The takeaway from what Miskovich was talking about, because that seems rather troubling. You know, we do have a. I mean, I received my response today. Lieutenant Governor told me straight on. He put it right on the front of my post. Charlie, send the message to Dr. Anderson and Dr. Park. They will not budge off their position. And what I was talking about was the apps and the test kits. So then I was thinking about Miskovich, right? There's not a turnaround. You're talking about is like almost 10 days. And yet, if you listen to what Mimi said with their test kit, the rapid test kit, with a almost 99 percentile accuracy, 2 hours. If you do that, we can open the floodgates. But we know we're gonna be catching a lot of, if those people are infected, at least we have a fighting chance to catch them and open the floodgates. Let the ones who aren't infected in, but the ones who are infected, no, you catch them. Right now, we're playing on iffy game. That iffy game can hurt us economically, but it can also hurt us physically because somebody can be right there with you and infect you with the virus. Now, don't get me wrong. It's just that, one of my good friends, she lives up Hawaii, and I went to go drop off the shirt for you to this one person. I didn't know she was a chronic asthmatic, just talking story with her, loud, wheezing. And she was struggling. I said, oh, sweetheart, you better go in the house to get on your nebulizer. Would it be fair for somebody to sprinkle that little virus on her? I don't think that's fair because right now, as it is, without the virus on her, she's struggling. So just imagine she gets the virus, it'll be even worse. And that's the kind of stuff I worry about. That's the kind of stuff I worry about.
No, again, it goes back to, your actions can hurt other people, and I think that's where we gotta be very vigilant. Kevin again is asking, what do you say to the business that can't handle 2 more weeks of this economy, or the people that are 1 month away from being homeless? Again, it's almost like the same question. We are dealing with a virus that is deadly. And I'm not sure, Kevin, what you support. If you support opening up the travel, it sounds like you are, or you're. I don't know where you're at, but open up the travel, and the state of Hawaii ends up with 1,000 or 2,000 cases a day. I can guarantee that the state will shut down, and the shutdown will be worse than the first time. Do we take that chance? Are you willing to take that chance of creating a much higher risk for the people of Hawaii, possibly, people dying? And people think I overreacting. No, you scaring people with fear and not facts. I crack up when people tell me that. It's like, have you guys watched the news or read the papers? Are we making this stuff up in the mainland? People are dying now. Oh, but that's on the mainland. That's not Hawaii. What separates us from them? I tell you what, mainland people are driving this thing out of control on the mainland, and you're going to welcome them here? Now, Kevin, I empathize with businesses. I really do. But all we're asking the state, and this is where I think there's a disconnect between Charlie and my theory or our plan is no, we're not against opening up the state to visitors. We are against opening up the state to visitors under the current plan. That's the problem here, Kevin. It's not about 2 weeks versus a month. No, it's about ensuring the safety of our people. So we have the Korea model. We have the Kauai discussion groups model. We have all these models that the state has said, no, 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 no. We get them. One test, 72 hours. We know they cannot even take a test in 72 hours right now. That has been established that is not even possible. We also know that we cannot test them here because our testing capacity is cut in half. So there is no testing. So what does that mean? We're going to lure the visitors here. They're going to go to 14-day quarantine, which they're not doing, and we cannot catch them, and expose our people to the virus. Are you willing to take that chance? I'm not. And, I look to the government to providing assistance to our businesses to keep them afloat. We got the PPPs, we got stimulus packages, and so forth. If we had done what we wanted them to do months ago, we could have opened up the local economy and allowed our local people to support the local businesses. But no, we were locked down. We were shut down when the numbers were flat. And now that the numbers are increasing, we're trying to say, hey, here, go support your local economy. But the numbers are rising in our state and across the country. So it's a tough question, man. I tell you, it's a tough decision, but that's why leaders lead. And if you lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way, we need leaders right now to make those tough decisions 4 months, 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Kicking the damn can down the road and keeping everybody in suspense. Should we or shouldn't we? Should we or shouldn't we? Oh, we can because our hospital beds only 50% occupied. Well, okay, you're optimistic. The reality is we had half the capacity. And if we get an outbreak of COVID, somebody got to choose who gonna get that ICU or who gonna get that ventilator. Somebody gonna live and somebody gonna die. I'm not willing to take the risk.
I think right now, just today, they released a report. Well, it was actually on the morning news that some of the nursing staff in those hotspots, they're at the brink of, they're just talking about changing their PPEs regularly, jumping in and out of a new suit every time they go check on a different patient. They're talking about that. But just overall, it's tiring. They're putting in those long hours and it's getting tougher and tougher. And, I just wonder at what point do they just throw up their hands and say, you know what? I got enough vacation right now. I'm going home. And then where are we going to stay? How hospitals going to function? Because I'm pretty sure some of them already gearing up to saying that it's an unsafe environment because of the hours they're made to work. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. And it's just that they got pushed to the limit. I believe they don't want to, but you got to let them rejuvenate, at least let them catch some family time and let them rejuvenate before they go for the next battle. You cannot just keep on working them until you cannot work anymore. So this morning's news is kind of, you cannot fault them for thinking that way. They're not selfish. One nurse came out and said, I've got so much vacation, I can go out right now and not worry. But I care about my patients, but I also care about my body. I cannot take care of my patients if my body don't get some rest. They're saying that because they're at capacity, 100% capacity. They cannot accept any more patients through the ER. And if they do, they will accept a COVID patient. But what if you got somebody just had a major stroke or a heart attack? They're going to be left in the hallways, or they have to go to a medical clinic. They will not be let into any of the major hospitals in that area. That is sad. That is really sad. I hope it doesn't happen here in Hawaii. I pray it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I think that's what, again, hope is not a strategy, and that's what I think our decision makers are relying on that. Now, can you find someone in the medical field that can talk about what they're doing different for treatment, because the stats now show a big change in death rate in the first 1.5? Good question, Kevin. And they're trying to figure it out from the people that we've had on. And again, Dr. Josh Green will be on, or Lieutenant Governor will be on next week. And we'll definitely ask that question. I know that there was a lot of the new cases now are younger people. I know that was one of the explanations that was given to us. I think it was by Dr. Miskovich, or maybe it was Dr. T, but a lot of the new cases are younger people. Early on, it was only the older people. Remember in the beginning, we were very selective in the testing. If you had 30, 35, 40 years old, you went to the doctor, you would never get a test. Unless you was dying, you would never get a test. Now, because of the contact tracing, more people in the younger range are getting tested positive, which accounts for a higher number, but they don't have symptoms. They're not getting affected like the older people. They're not dying. The rate of our mortality rate for the younger ages are not as high. So I think the younger age groups, we're getting more cases, but less deaths, which drives the mortality rate down. That doesn't make the virus any less serious. It's just that the numbers, again, it's a numbers game. Yeah, it's you test more people, you get more positives. You test more younger people, you get less mortalities, fatalities. You get less people dying. So that's what was told to us, but we'll definitely ask the Lieutenant Governor when he comes on. Again, I don't want to go back to this because we talk about individual responsibility as us. Yeah, we are told by the state that really it's up to us, and we believe that because they really haven't done much. But you know that the state put $2.3 billion or whatever it was into the rainy day fund. That raised a lot of, and we have Senate President Kochi coming on Monday night, and we can ask him that question. The County of Kauai, $50 million in their rainy day fund, their reserve fund. So this is what I'm saying. Individual responsibilities for all of us is social distancing and wearing your mask and washing your hands and stop touching your face and all of that. The responsibility of government right now is to make sure that we leverage those funds and make sure we have the funds out to the people that need those funds, whether it's for rent assistance, whether it's for like a PPP program to keep businesses afloat, changing all of the government's buying habits to go local. Stop buying from the goddamn online catalogs. Buy all your stuff local. Yes, you can pay a little more, but that's how you do it. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. So while we have all these funds sitting in accounts, we got to start letting those funds go. It is raining here in Hawaii. When they call it a rainy day fund, it doesn't mean it's for wet rain, liquid rain. It's for times like this where we got to get those monies to the people that need them. So individual responsibility, government responsibility. That's how we get through this, Kevin. I mean, really, and we all got to work together. We got to get through this together. I hope I answered your question.
Another thing too, today they showed WHO and CDC, they're talking about testing because they want to clarify something that the president said, and that is, yeah, you know, you do more testing, you're gonna get more numbers. But they're saying, wait, what we're trying to say is they're taking the same amount of testing they did before, they're using that same graph. So say, for instance, before they do 8,000 tests a day, they're keeping it at 8,000 tests a day. But what they're finding is, without raising the ceiling on those tests, they're finding that they're more positive in that same numbers. So that's why the percentages go up higher. So it's not raising the 8,000 ceiling to 10,000 and you get more from there. No, they're keeping it at 8,000. And the numbers within that 8,000 testing are getting higher numbers of positive hits. That's what's happening now. So that's kind of scary. So it's almost like saying for every 10 cars that come in, at least 5 of them will be positive. When they're coming down that line, when they're driving up to the test site, or 6 cars, right? For every 6 cars, and especially if you get 2-3 people in, the driver gets tested. What they're saying is, for every 10 cars, between 5 and 6, and they point to the driver, but test positive. Now the case is, what if you get a family of 4? It's going to drive the number just that much more higher, right? Because that entire car will be testing positive. And it's just a scary thought. Scary thought.
Yeah, no, it is, man. I tell you, you know, again, and it's unknown. Yeah, it's we don't know. There's a lot of places that went before us. There's a lot of models out there that we could be following. But again, it's the politics that get in the way. You know, it's the politics. It's the obligations of politicians to special interest groups, industries that really gotta, you know, we gotta put that aside right now, and we just gotta do it. I mean, it's not that difficult because so many places have done it successfully. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to recreate anything. We can find what's working and copy it. To me, that's the best thing we can do right now. And we got to stop the risk. We got to stop the potential risks from getting onto our land. And the way you do that is you put up a fail-safe, or, you know, a 99% fail-safe screening program for visitors. And we can do it because it's being done. We just, for whatever reason, choose not to. And that's what's going to cost people lives. That's what's going to happen. And I just hope not. Anyway, Charles.
What he just said, I think about every time I watch those movies, like at the Riviera or in Australia, they got those big nets, right? So people can go swim and not worry about getting eaten by one shark. But at the same token, it lets the smaller fish in, the one that can play with you, but not gonna bite you or eat you. So it's the same thing, putting up that proper net so we can catch, and it's targeted to catch the virus. Stop the virus from coming. That's about it. And I know,
next week we have a amazing show week. We have Monday, like I said, Senate President Kochi will be on. I'm holding Tuesday open for Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. I'm anticipating the governor's big announcement on Monday. So Tuesday, we hope to get the Lieutenant Governor. Charlie and I decided that, you know, we cover the council candidates. We're going to do a forum for the state house candidates. So right now, tentatively, I sent out invitations to all of the 6 candidates. So District 14, we have Representative Nadine Nakamura and candidate Steve Moniz. We have them scheduled for Wednesday. I haven't heard back. Yeah, I heard from Steve Moniz. He's the only one that responded, but I only sent the email out today, so I'm not digging anybody. We're just giving them some time to respond. Thursday, we'll have our town hall Thursday again. So get ready, you guys. Come on and share some time with Mel and Charlie. On Friday, we'll have District 15, hopefully, Representative Jimmy Tokioka and candidate Steve Yoder. And on Saturday, we'll have District 16 Representative D. Morikawa and I know her. It's Ann Modez. I'm sorry. I cannot read my own writing. Anna Modez is the candidate for District 16. So I'm hoping that everyone will sign on and participate, and it'll be a forum style where we will ask each candidate 6 questions. And we'll take the questions from the questions that we receive from you folks leading up to the forum. And we hope to get get them to respond and hope to agree on doing the forum. We're not the Chamber of Commerce. We're not any of those big organizations, but we do have a lot of viewers and a lot of voters on our show. So the show will go on, and we'll see how many of them can actually participate.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. So what else you got, Charles?
No, I'm just looking at all the comments, and again, a big mahalo to all of you. Thank you for your comments. And when you folks vent in, go right ahead. That's what we're here for. Tonight, what you've been hearing from Mel and I, it's just been our experience for this last 3-4 months dealing with COVID. The information that we've been able to obtain from the experts. We're not saying that that's our ideas. We're saying that we're just repeating what the experts have told us. I will let you know that if I do get a response from the Department of Health, I will compress that response and put out a statement of what they said. I hope you folks realize that, and I'm not gonna go bash anybody or say, this is a stupid response, but no, that's not me. If it doesn't make sense, I'm just not gonna say anything because it's fruitless. But I will let you know if I get a response or not, okay? I just wanna let you folks know that. I do want to say one thing though. Over this last week, the viewers have been very, very, they've been very kind. They knew what happened when we had an exchange of words on Facebook, and everybody stepped up to the plate and they kept things very, very peaceful. Because, if I'm gonna come in front of you folks every night and I'm gonna act like an a-hole, I think you'll get tired after a while listening to me. And see, that doesn't accomplish anything. We just want to come before you, state whatever is out there, and let you folks chime in. That's what we're about. Because I know, just by looking at some names, I know there's some RNs on top here that, they're not revealing who they are. But I can just tell by the way, and I've seen those names before. They work in the hospitals, and I know you folks are working the front line, and I know that maybe your bosses are watching the feed right now, so you cannot really say too much, but I know how you feel. And I just want to thank you guys too for jumping on. Thank you guys too. Whatever information anybody has, please do not be afraid. Give it to us. Let us, let us try work with it. See how we can help everybody with that. Because this old dog right here, I can always learn a new trick. Just give me the right trick to learn, and I'll learn it, man.
Charles, all right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us tonight. If you guys have any ideas of people that you want to see, I hope the mini co of BC Canada gets back to Mel. Yeah, we put out a few invites out there, so we're hoping we get some back. But if you have any ideas, or if you want to see somebody on the show, let us know, and we'll do everything we can to try to get them on. I did want to say that Miniko messaged me today, and she is sending over a few hundred masks and PPEs for us to share with our viewers. She was so appreciative of the viewers, and she's gonna order them, and it's gonna be shipped out on Monday. I don't know how long it takes from Korea. Too bad it's not test kits, yeah. But anyway, once we get that in, again, we'll make that available to those that need, not to those that want. Those that need, and the kupuna, school teachers, all of those that are out there that are having difficulties. But and that is because she appreciates what we all are trying to do for Hawaii. But I was telling Charlie last night, her roots are in Hawaii. Her family is in Hawaii. She is from Hawaii. She cares about Hawaii, and she's going to do whatever she can to help us. And we can. We have put together this little army of Mel and Charlie viewers that we can make a difference. We will make a difference. And somebody just asked about the mayor. The mayor has an open invitation. I told Sarah last week, whenever he's ready, he can come back on. But so yeah, whatever, when the mayor's ready.
Why don't you, since Dr. Mitz has his special bag of tricks, or Dr. T has his special bag of tricks, ask either of them if they have a direct link into getting Dr. Fauci on. That'll be neat. We'll get him on.
He was just at my house last night for dinner.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder his voice sounded raspy.
That's right. We give him some chili pepper water, and I'll follow up on that. I will follow up on that. Anyway, it is 8:11 by my clock, Charles. Thank you for spending the extra time tonight with us.
Oh, thank you.
Tomorrow night we take our night off, enjoy our Sunday at home, and then Monday we got Senate President Kochi. So
yep.
Share the word, let everybody know. Let's build this viewership up to 5,000 so we can get that people watch this after we go off the air. And we
tell them the reason why. Tell them the reason why they watch after.
Why? Because they don't like their name be seen on the screen. They don't want anyone to know that they're watching. But when you look at the number of viewers when we close out and you check in the morning, it doubles. It doubles. So we know they're all watching afterwards. So anyway, any closing comments, Charles, before we head out?
No, just that I love you all. Somebody asked, how come we don't play Flatten the Curve? Because for Kauai, we basically have flattened the curve. We got to think of a new song. In fact, I know some of you think it's funny, but my last night at Kalaheo Steak and Ribs, you were there, Mel. I was singing kind of flat that night, and I wasn't doing it on purpose. I got thrown off, and even the wife was saying, "What was wrong with you?" I said, "See, honey, I sing flat too much. Look, the bugger went gets stuck in my throat." So anyway, it's all good. Yeah. It's all good.
Maybe we'll, it's been so serious. I mean, I think we kind of we got to bring it back next week. I'll tell you what. Next week we'll do it for Lieutenant Governor Josh Green.
Yeah,
we'll remind him that we got to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys all have a good night. Stay safe. Enjoy your Sunday tomorrow, and stay healthy, stay safe. We love you guys. God bless. We'll see you guys on Monday night.
Love you all. Take care.
Aloha.